Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES for 10% off any purchase over $10. If you use that promo code between now and January 28th, you will automatically be entered in a drawing to win a Ravnica Allegiance booster box. Check out the description below for details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. It is Ravnica Allegiance Prerelease Weekend, and I hope you're at your game store having a great time with the new cards. If you are, I got you covered on this end if you need to know anything that's going on in the secondary market. As you can imagine, there are some ripple effects from those Ravnica Allegiance cards still, like we've been seeing over the last few weeks, but there's also many other things going on in the marketplace. Quickly before we get started though, just a fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to support the channel. Our Patreon page is down there. You're also going to find product links for products on Amazon. If you make any purchases on Amazon, once you go through one of our links, no matter what it is, we'll get a small percentage for the channel. Finally, Flipside Gaming still offering a promo code for our viewers. Hopefully you can save a little cash while you support us. But as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to each and every one of you. Y'all make the channel what it is, so thank you, and let's get into it. We're going to begin, as we always do, with the top 5 cards from standard sets that have lost value this week. Before we get to our top 5, though, I do have one honorable mention. There is a welcome deck card on our top 5, so I wanted to make sure you didn't miss out on any information. This would have been the next card, and it's Resplendent Angel. It's down 64 cents to $15.30. Now, this card has been losing some value. Last meta, it looked pretty good, though. I mean, the Boros Angel deck and some other variants of that deck performed very well. That deck did taper off during the end of the last season, but we have some new angels coming with Ravnica Allegiance, things like Angel of Grace, for example, or even Seraph of the Scales. So you never know. Maybe the Angel deck could see a revival in the coming weeks. Number 5, Angrath, the Flame Chain, down 73 cents to $14.25. This card got really hot a few weeks ago when we saw the Spectacle mechanic revealed for the first time. Then we started seeing all these really cool Rakdos cards that were coming with the new set. And when that happened, we saw a pretty big spike with this card. Now, since then, normalization kicked in. This is a continuation of the normalization we saw occurring last week. Whenever a card has a big spike like that, people will see the spike. They realize, I have copies I'm not using. I'll go ahead and sell them, trade them, more copies enter the marketplace. And that's why you get this kind of backlash. And that's what we're experiencing here with this card right now. Ultimately, the value of this card in the coming weeks and months will be tied into how well it does in Standard. If this performs well in a Rakdos aggro or Rakdos midrange deck, then the value will go up again. Number 4, Rekindling Phoenix, down 87 cents to $23.50. This is a Standard all-star. I don't think it's going to go away in this new meta or anything like that. But the more expensive cards in between Standard seasons will get a little soft because people don't want to buy into cards that are going to cost a lot of money when they don't know what deck they're going to be playing yet. So sometimes during these in-between moments, you can get a good deal on cards. This has been soft over the last few weeks, but I don't have any doubt that once we get into the next meta, we will see this performing well again. Maybe in Rakdos aggro or Rakdos midrange or just another mono red deck. Number 3, Mistcloaked Herald, down 89 cents to $1.80. This is the Magic 2019 variant. I don't want to spend a ton of time on these welcome deck cards, but here's some quick background. It's good to see it going down in value, actually quite a bit this week. That's nice. But you don't have to buy the Magic 2019 version of this card. You can simply buy the Rivals of Ixalan version. It's going to be much cheaper. You can get it for a few pennies. However, some people like to collect oddities. This is basically an oddity card, a nice conversation piece. You can only find a copy of this in the blue Welcome deck. Now, the Welcome deck is what they give out to new players at game stores to get them interested in Magic and teach them how to play. Because of that, you don't see a lot of people breaking those decks up online to sell them for parts. And they're not necessarily rare or anything. All these game stores all over the world get these things. However, because you don't see a lot of them sold online, sometimes people will sell them online for really high prices, higher than they should be. And the bottom line is, don't fall for that. If you want a copy of the card, wait it out. These things will get cheaper over time as people move on to other things. Or just buy the Rivals of Ixalan version. Vivian Reed is number 2. She's going down $1.01 to $20.99. I said last week that I feel like she was a good card. She's still going to be a good card in the new meta. Definitely we will see her in some green or Gruul Stompy decks, I have no doubt. However, when you compare the amount of play she's seen, and I think the amount of play she will see in the next season, compared to her price point, it feels a little off. Her price point has always been a little high to me. I think she will come down a little more before stabilization occurs. Number 1, History of Benalia down $1.12 to $16.14. Another really solid card from the previous few metas that is going down in price in between seasons. You might want to grab a copy if you can find a good deal, because I do think this card is going to get hot again once we get into the season. It's just a solid card, and even though it might not see the same amount of play that it saw last season, it's still going to be kicking around, I have no doubt. Alright, let's move on to the top 5 cards from standard sets that have gained value this week. And I have 2 honorable mentions this time, because yes, there are actually 2 welcome deck cards on this list. Temple Garden, though, was our first honorable mention, up 16 cents to $5.25. Not going up a whole lot, but I did think it was relevant enough to talk about, because this is an indication that a lot of people are looking at BANT colors, especially as we move into the next meta. Why is that? Well, we are getting a number of cards from Rivals of Ixalan that do promote BANT control, and even a step beyond that, a lot of people are thinking about BANT Nexus decks. Those decks started to come back towards the end of the last season. All of a sudden, some new pieces are coming. I'm going to talk more about that in a few moments, though. And our second honorable mention is Midnight Reaper, up 21 cents to $1.25. And this is getting hot right now because a lot of people are thinking about the aristocrat-style mechanics that we're seeing on some of the cards in Rivals of Ixalan. There is a possibility, I think actually a strong possibility, that we'll see maybe a Mardu Aristocrats deck or something like that in Standard. If it can do well enough, then this card could go up in value in the coming weeks and months. Okay, number 5 is Arclight Phoenix, up 43 cents to $25.59. I'm a little surprised that this is only going up 43 cents this week. I don't think a lot of people are paying attention because we're kind of in that in-between time. But if you look at the Star City Games Modern Open from last weekend, there were 3 Izzet Phoenix decks in the top 8 of that tournament. 3 of them. This is not a flash in the pan. This card and the decks revolving around this card are performing extremely well right now in Modern. This is one to watch for the future. Number 4, Sun Sentinel. Okay, it's another one of these welcome deck cards. Up 47 cents this week to 99 cents. Don't pay that, though. Much like the card we saw a few moments ago, you can find a copy of this, but this time in the white welcome deck, of course. But there's a caveat to that. If you really want that M19 symbol on the card instead of the Rivals of Ixalan symbol, you can get the same card in the Spell Slinger starter kit, which you can get at your Targets and Walmarts or your local game store. So in that kit, there's 2 copies of this card. So this one isn't even as hard to find as some of the other ones that are in these welcome decks. Number 3, Nexus of Fate, up 69 cents to $27.98. Okay, I'll continue my story I started with Temple Garden. Yes, a lot of people are looking at the Nexus of Fate deck to be poised as maybe one of the big decks, at least early on in the meta. There are a number of cards in Rivals of Ixalan that could help that deck get better, but one in particular has really caught a lot of people's attention, and that's Wilderness Reclamation. I think this card actually makes the Nexus deck just that much better on its own. Number 2. Alright, just one more of these welcome deck cards. I know not everybody is interested in these, but I do have to report on them, especially when there's nothing else going on in the format. And I do get a lot of questions about them, honestly, if I don't talk about them, because people see these prices go up on sites like MTG Goldfish and they wonder why. So here you are, Air Elemental, Magic 2019, up 96 cents to $1.95. And you can only find this in the blue welcome deck. Number 1. Here we go. Back to real cards. Arcades the Strategist. This is up $1.23 to $5.74. I talked about this card last week, and it's been a really cool Commander card ever since it came out a number of months ago. Commander players have been picking this up to build these Defender, high toughness style decks. But now, believe it or not, people are thinking about potentially this card crossing over into Standard. Why is that? Well, it has a lot to do with High Alert. People have actually started brewing. I've seen pros brewing decks and doing articles on this combination too, which is pretty cool. This actually could be a thing. Time will tell, who knows, but there's a chance that it could get there, and if it does, Arcades will go up in value. Okay, that brings us to Modern, with the top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week, and you're still going to see some cards impacted by their reprint and Ultimate Masters here. Number 5, though, is Sword of Feast and Famine from the Modern event deck, going down 206 this week to $34.81. Now, this card can be very swingy because the Modern event deck version is a little bit harder to find online. So when somebody posts some copies, depending on what their price point is, you could see this go up, go down, and that's what usually happens. Generally, though, this has been trending up recently, so I'm not too surprised to see a little snapback here this week. This has been a popular commander card, though, over the last few months. Ever since Najeela came out in Battle Bond, a lot of people have been paying attention to this. Number 4, Jace the Mind Sculptor from Masters 25, down $219 to $97. A little unusual, actually, that Jace is as soft as he is this week. This is the newest Jace, of course, so it did get printed not too long ago, but I have more to this story too, so stay tuned. Number 3, Engineered Explosives, 2 versions. Modern Masters down $243 to $42. 5th Dawn down $252 to $55.69. This was reprinted in Ultimate Masters as a rare, and it has been really soft over the last few weeks. Even before the reprint was announced, though, the card was losing a little bit of value due to the fact that it was down percentage-wise in play. Aside from that, though, more recently, there's another reason to be a little scared of this card, and that's because the banned and restricted list update is coming out on Monday. A lot of people are speculating that maybe the Ironworks combo deck is going to take a hit. There could be a banning impacting that deck. If that happens, this card is going to lose more value. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to completely lose all its value because it's not a bad card outside of Ironworks decks, but it is a sideboard card. Some Legacy decks will use it out of the board. A lot of Modern decks will use this out of the board. But really what's kept the price point as high as it's been over the last 6 months to a year has been the fact that Ironworks Combo uses this in the main. Number 2, Gaddock Teeg from Lorwyn goes down $277 to $25. Another card that got a reprint as a rare in Ultimate Masters. And it's that time of the video, say it with me now. Lorwyn had a especially low print run compared to other Modern era Magic sets. Because of that, this card got really inflated. When the reprint finally hit, this card lost a lot of value as people were finally able to get their hands on copies of the card. Now, that being said, the card's still really awesome, and you'll find it in a lot of really important decks. In Modern, you'll find this in the sideboard of Humans and Hexproof, for example. Legacy, you'll find it in a lot of places, and sometimes even in the main deck there. Number 1, believe it or not, Mox Opal. Scars of Mirrodin down $271 to $97.27. Modern Masters 2015 down $354 to $100.04. Alright, the world must be ending because Mox Opal is losing value. Why is this? Well, again, it comes down to Ironworks Combo. Here's the thing, though, about Mox Opal. If Ironworks Combo takes a banning and becomes not as good, then this card will lose some value. But it's in so many other important decks in Modern, Legacy, and Vintage, it's not going to lose all that much value. I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen that there might be an initial overreaction, and this card might sink down to, who knows, $80, $85. But that will be very short term. Quickly, I would imagine it would find itself in the 90s again. If there is a banning, I really don't think it's going to be this card. It would be interesting to watch, though, if another card gets banned in Ironworks Combo, just to see what this thing will do over the next few weeks. Okay, let's move on to the top 5 Modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 5, Restore Balance, up 307 to 962. Last week I mentioned that these suspend cards are getting really hot due to a card from Ravnica Allegiance. Of course, that card is Electro Dominance. So with Electro Dominance, you can cast the suspend spell basically for 2 red mana at instant speed. That's kind of crazy, right? Not only do I see people brewing some ideas for this type of combo in Commander, but there's actually some Modern brews out there too. Can it get there in Modern? Well, time will tell. If it does, though, these suspend cards will gain a lot of value. Even if it doesn't get there in Modern, these will still go up just due to the Commander interest that will come from Electro Dominance. Number 4, Rest in Peace, up 317 to 1279. This is the Masters 25 version. The Return to Ravnica version of the card is also going up a little bit this week, but not this much. So why is this going up? Well, ironically, this is a reaction to Ironworks Combo mostly. Although this is good against some other decks too that are popular in Modern like Dredge, but really it's Ironworks Combo's popularity that's motivated this a little bit. Strangely, there's a lot of people also thinking we might see a ban this week to Ironworks Combo that could nerf it, but I guess they want to cover all their bases. Number 3 is another suspend card, surprise, surprise, and this time it's Wheel of Fate. Time Spiral up 308 to 994, Commander 2016 up 426 to 995. Number 2 is Jace the Mind Sculptor from Worldwake this time, so here's the second part of the story, going up 459 to 104.58. Honestly, I was a little surprised that the Masters 25 one was going down this week. Not surprised to see this one going up. So we know generally Jace is a good card, right? In modern control builds, among other places. You'll find this in a number of legacy and vintage decks too. But why is it going up this much this week? Well, again, we're talking about that banned and restricted list update. Every time we close in on a new update, there's a lot of speculation that Stoneforge Mystic might become unbanned in Modern. It hasn't happened yet, but you never know. Maybe this will be the time. I gave up a long time ago trying to guess what Wizards is going to ban or unban during these announcements. But anyway, personally, I don't think it's going to happen. However, if it were to happen, this card would go up, at least for the short term, because a lot of people are speculating that if you were to take this and Stoneforge and put them together, much like we see in Legacy, that it would be very good in Modern. And yeah, probably would be. So this is a card to keep an eye on, especially on Monday. If that were to happen, Jace could see a spike. Number 1 is Gemstone Mine. 2 copies. Time Spiral going up 207 to 1268. Weatherlight going up 505 to 1525. Now this card does tend to jump every once in a while. Recently, Jeff Hoagland was playing this card in a Jeskai Ascendancy combo deck on stream. That brought a little attention to it this week, and hence the jump. Alright, let's move on to our Vintage Spotlight. And this week you're not going to see as many unlimited cards on here. There's one big one towards the end, but we're not seeing all these random cards going up in value. Maybe those are starting to cool down, but let's see what's going on. First is Mana Vault from Unlimited down $1.95 to $134.99. I added this because, yes, this did get reprinted as a Mythic and Ultimate Masters, but I don't really think that's why it's moving. I think this is just some normalization off the latest spike. These unlimited cards, they kind of have a life of their own, moving up and down independently of what's actually going on with gameplay. Karakas. Alright, this is the Eternal Masters copy going down $207 to $35.99. You know, that last reprint in Ultimate Masters, even though it was a Mythic, I felt like that really tipped the scale for people that needed to pick up this card to play in Legacy or Vintage. Now it's almost like anyone who really needs this card has a copy. It is not legal in Commander, which takes a lot of demand off a card generally, and I do think this will lose more value in the coming weeks. Demonic Tutor. This is the dual deck Divine versus Demonic version of the card, down $283 this week to $36.74. Of course, this was reprinted as a rare in Ultimate Masters. Alright, you knew it had to be here. Stoneforge Mystic goes up $16.64 this week to $41.79. And just like I said earlier, this happens every time we approach a banned and restricted update now. If it were to become unbanned, it will spike up pretty aggressively on Monday. If that doesn't happen, it will go back down. Last card in the section, it's Mox Sapphire, going up $808.49 to $2,999.99. This, of course, is on the reserve list. And even though this seems like a big jump, I mean, $800 is a big chunk of cash for all of us, but percentage-wise, it's not really that unusual for this card. If you look at the listings this week, there just happen to be some more high-grade copies available on the marketplace, and that's bringing the number up a little bit for the week anyway. Alright, let's move on to our Commander Spotlight. There's a lot of cards to talk about, so I'm going to try to go kind of quick through these and let you know why they're moving. First, we have Mana Crypt going up $1 to $174.99. This is the original book giveaway version of the card, and this sees Vintage and Commander play. Going up $1 when you consider this price point really is nothing, so I just wanted to point this out to let you know it appears this card is stabilized, at least for the time being. Storm Surge Kraken up $1.47 to $2.68. Wow, okay, why is this one going up? Well, TCG Player ran an article this week about a pretty cool Commander deck, actually, and the Commander happened to be Erixmithy's Slumbering Isle that you see there on the right from Commander 2018. And because of that, this card as well as one other card made our list today. Marin of Clan Neltoth up $1.59 to $13.75. There's some interest on this card right now due to the sacrifice for benefit effects, especially in black, that we're seeing in Ravnica Allegiance. Some players are looking at those new cards coming out and thinking about support cards for a new Commander deck. Next is Living End. Okay, this wasn't moving high enough to make it into the Modern list, so I figured I'll throw it in the Commander list. It's going up $1.96 to $18.72. Rasputin Dreamweaver. I like to point out when these reserve list gold cards from Legends are increasing. This week, Rasputin is going up $2 to $139.99. Great card for Flicker strategies in Commander. Thrumming Stone up $204 to $29.42. This card's been really hot recently, and you may know this is a card that supports things like Shadowborn Apostle. However, there's a new card in Ravnica Allegiance that allows you to put any number of that creature in a deck, and that, of course, is Persistent Petitioners. There are people thinking about some modern brews even with these cards. However, I don't know if that's going to be as realistic as a good commander brew. I've seen some really spicy ones already. Sen Triplets goes up 218 to 29.97. I think this card's been undervalued for a while now. I'm not too shocked to see it going up 2 weeks in a row. Also, about a week ago, I got a mention on the Command Zone podcast when they were looking at the new Ravnica Allegiance cards and how they could play into some existing strategies. And one of the cards they mentioned for Sen Triplets was Tome of the Guild Pact. Another card from that Arixmethes build that I mentioned earlier is Breaching Leviathan, going up 249 this week to 388. Another gold card on the reserve list from Legends, it's Angus McKenzie. You'll find this in some of the Pillow Fort builds, up 268 to 228.40. Very expensive card now, though. And another reserve list card from Legends, Gwendolyn de Corsai, up 310 to 114.49 this week. Here's another card that's gaining interest among the Commander community due to persistent petitioners again. This is Remembrance, going up 376 to 550. This is from Urza Saga. It's never been reprinted. However, it is not on the reserve list. Back to cards that are on the reserve list. Hazan Tamara, this goes up 378 this week to 179.99. And there's nothing really going on in Pauper this week, so that concludes the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. Hey, let me know in the comments below how your weekend's going. Are you having a good time at the pre-release? Did you get any crazy pulls? How was your record? I always love to hear those things. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.